Alright, BCA Introduction to Computers. This is Tuesday. We're in week 4, 9/18. We did quite a bit of review and almost finished up Unit 2. We'll finish that up, take the test on Thursday, covering Units 1 and 2 of the outline. Alright, just finished first skills-based the other day. If you're going to make that up, you'd have to have that done by Thursday also. Here we go. We got hardware, and then on the other side of the board we talked about software. In hardware, I'm just going to browse over. We're going to talk about the computer, how it connects to a network. I'll come back to some of this, and firewall, out, how we might connect to the internet, other sites. And then we have the whole idea of software. Two major kinds, application and system. The system software deals with the hardware. The application deals with system software. The system software we use, we have different utilities, and we have the operating system, OS there representing the operating system. And we listed the different operating systems. And then people communicate with the application, or people can communicate with the system software. And then we looked at some other things in terms of software. Let's go back to hardware. Alright, we have all these different types of computing devices. We're going to talk about PCs and laptops kind of more in general. We talk later about tablets and phones and so forth. They have this term system unit. That's this main part that all these other things connect to. We have a processor, we have RAM, memory, which a lot of people just refer to as memory, and then we have read-only memory, which sometimes referred to as firmware. The software is burnt right into the chips, and it's there permanently. Like when a computer boots, it pulls some information from ROM, some software, in order to get started. Then eventually it loads the operating system, which is usually stored on a hard drive or maybe some type of flash memory in the device or whatever. We introduced one more term, cache memory, high-speed memory that communicates. I drew a little box right there by the processor. Communicates primarily with the processor, keeps things that are used often in that area. System unit. We have ports, USB ports, FireWire ports, different ports we can connect to. We have electronic bus internally, there in the blue, that everything communicates with. I didn't draw arrows in there everywhere. And we have expansion slots in which we can add things to a computer, a PC usually. And even though that's not quite as important as it used to be years ago. We have storage. We can store things on a DVD, we can store it on a flash drive, we can store it on a hard drive. DVDs use some form of light to store. We can store large amounts in a small area on a DVD, but moving it on and off is not as fast as magnetic, storing it on a hard drive. And magnetic spots on a spinning platter, and then we have this technology of flash, which is really cool. I drew a little flash drive there, but the whole concept of flash is becoming extremely popular. So we have this hardware. We connect the hardware with a device called a switch. Here I'm showing the connection with some blue representing wire, but we can connect to devices using fiber optic, light, through a plastic tube, or we can connect through the air through wireless. I didn't draw the wireless on you today, but we could have. Here at the college, that switch connects to a multi-layered switch, which connects to another switch in which we have all of our local servers. The ones I have circled can be accessed externally, and the other ones can only be accessed while here on campus, at least by the general public here on campus. We have data servers like your H drive where you store data. We have DNS, domain name services. We have different applications that run off servers. You have that ability to log in, server. And then we have different websites. We have email, and you can connect to Angel externally. You would come in through a firewall. That's two L's there, it doesn't look like it. Firewall, which is connected to a routing device, which goes out to our ISP, which is the ICN. And then we have a picture here of the internet. What moves between everything? Well, we talked again about binary digits, bits. 8 bits gives us a byte. We usually store data. Data is processed and turned into information, something that has value to us. Raw facts converted into information. An extremely simple example would be your birth date can be converted into how old you are. Okay? We talked about why computers are important. They're extremely fast, and we should know some of those terms in terms of speed, nanoseconds, microseconds, and what we mean by bits per second. As long as the software is well written and the user inputs the correct data, computers can be extremely accurate over and over. They can handle huge amounts of data. And so we have those quantities we should know, like a kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, and terabyte. For example, a kilobyte is approximately 1,000. It's 2 to the 10th, which is 1024. So when you look those up, they won't give the exact, they'll say it's approximately this or this. And you could have an employee who gets a lot of work done, who's very accurate, and gets it done quickly, but if they're not reliable, they're not good for us either. Okay? And computers tend to be very reliable. More or less somebody who's really good at everything they do, but are always sick or don't show up for work or whatever. Unreliable. So these are the reasons why technology is used. And then there's some items there you can look at in the outline. Then we talked about how we hook all this together. So we review the idea of networks. We talk about local area networks. And then we talk about wide area networks. And a lot of times a service provider can help us with a wide area network to connect. And we have these private wide area networks like big companies like Walmart and Boeing and GM and so forth. And then the phone company is their own private wide area network too. We have phone services all over the world through copper wire. And of course that's changing dramatically now as cell phone use increases and how we do that. Okay? So the idea there is the biggest WAN that we all use is the internet, but companies can also have private wide area networks that don't necessarily send the traffic through the internet. We talked about different things in using the internet. We talked about browsers, the key role they play in interpreting information from websites. We talked about how email works briefly. The idea is sending it to an email server and then you pull it off. When somebody emails you, it doesn't go directly to you. It goes to the email services and then we pull it off and look at it. We mentioned instant messaging. We talked about tweeting a little bit, social networking, and then we talked about blogs and wikis and how they develop. Okay? And then we finished up with the whole idea of application software. We mentioned word processing, spreadsheets, database, presentation graphics, software. Software allows us to be more productive. All right. So, even though a lot of the details were left out, that's a pretty good review of the things we covered in the first 2 units, with the exception of a few details. And so that's it.